Recording in progress.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Three Man Weave podcast. Yes, Kai, that noise was the sound of record, something that we forgot to do two of the last three episodes, I believe. So very exciting times for us as we will be saving ourselves plenty of post-prod work. Give ourselves a quick round of applause. But to you, the listener, thank you for joining us. If you're watching or listening live, we appreciate that. Do like and subscribe. But if you're listening in recorded fashion, welcome. It's the same boilerplate show per usual. Doesn't make it any less great than any other of our prior 335 shows. Jim, Kai, how are you guys doing today? I'll go to Kai first for a quick opening statement, and then Jim, you can add on as you'd so choose.
Oh, Matt, I'm doing great. Yeah, I laughed because I heard the hit record button. And you're right. We have had to scramble behind the scenes. Thank goodness we do live podcasts now, because in the past, when we didn't do live podcasts, we would have been absolutely screwed. So thank goodness we had the backup with the live show. I'm glad you hit record this time. I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk some hoops and reflect on another week in college basketball.
Yes,
I have nothing to add, Matthew.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I know you said I could add as needed. I got nothing. I'm just glad like you said, we hit record, and I'm excited the Packers made the playoffs. That's a completely irrelevant statement, but it's part of propping up my mood. So how about that?
Yeah, best decision I ever made was not adopting the Bears as my quasi second NFL team after the Rams were ripped from my heart and soul in St. Louis. Seems a pretty tough fan base to be a part of, Kai. But I digress. The outline, as I mentioned, pretty standard, really. Roots Roundup, Weave saw that, three men thoughts. Some quick game previews, and yes, conference play is fully upon us. So the slates are monstrous, and the schedules are fairly predictable, which I like. I like the routine that conference play allows us. You don't get these random massive slates out of nowhere.
Matt, you like routine?
I do like routine.
I don't believe that at all.
It's something I've never enjoyed in my life, but I need it. As you know, I'm the worst multitasker in the Western Hemisphere. So I need to kind of find some structure.
You're a structure guy. Yeah, you're a structure guy.
I need structure. I don't like it, but I need it. I operate best in those in those environments. First off, Joe Paskoff, that's AKA Joe Pitty, the producer of the best intro and outro music in the college basketball podcast domain. Please follow us on Twitter if you don't already. That's at 3MW_CBB. The same handle applies on Instagram. Most importantly, I would say, most importantly, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, among other platforms. And please leave us reviews and ratings of the 5-star variety only. And when you leave us reviews, you can say whatever you want. You can ask us a question. We will have a roundtable discussion about it. Kai, we're going to save those till the end. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay. That's our new policy, Matthew. Yeah, little teaser at the end.
Heavy section as I see here now as I'm scrolling the outline. So thank you for all those.
Subscribe on YouTube as well. Make sure
YouTube is actually most important. Yes. So actually, I did not say the most important part of the subscription policy for you listeners. YouTube is the best place to do so. That will help us grow, expand the conglomerate that we have in the college basketball realm, and hopefully lead to a potentially daily show. Wink, wink. But we need your help. So subscribe right now. Or if you're listening via audio, go on to YouTube and subscribe, like all that good stuff. Personal corner, as I alluded to, still trying to get the daily, quasi-daily show, whatever that's going to look like, in order. So yeah, just keep liking, subscribing. It'll make our decisions a lot easier there. Please buy the Almanac if you haven't done so already. Conference play is upon us. Very helpful for me as I went through a full reset of rosters the last week or so, turning the page from non-conference to conference. So you can always do that. Please just DM us if you have any questions on where to find that good stuff. I think that's it.
Yeah, I got something real quick. Shout out to my you can't really see the shirt, brother-in-law, for getting me a fantastic shirt. Trifoni's Sloppy Steaks. If you're I Think You Should Leave fan, let's slop them up. Throw some water on the steaks, Matt. Yes. I think that's a good way to intro Roots Roundup. Let's slop it up.
And what a perfect transition for it's time for Roots Roundup.
Beautiful. Well done. Yep, it is time for Roots Roundup. And before we do that, Kai, continue shouting out shirts, because that is our wonderful sponsor. Well, I guess not this one. Yeah, that's our later sponsor. We could have flipped them. We could have switched it up on the people. But before Roots Roundup, we talk CBB analytics.
Yes, we do. CBB Analytics, that is cbbanalytics.com, the best 30,000-foot view of the numbers in college basketball. We're talking slices of data. We're talking pace stuff, efficiency stuff, lineups, on-off numbers for players, very important for injury betting if you're into that sort of thing. More than 25 Division I coaching staffs across the country are using it in their scouting reports for their games, their game planning. It is a very useful website for diehard college basketball fans, casual basketball fans, and of course, sports bettors. If you're looking to get an edge, CBB Analytics can help you do that. If you're a diehard college basketball fan like us, you will love this website. The promo code, if you want to try it out, is WEAVE. So $40 off your subscription fee is WEAVE at checkout. CBBAnalytics.com. Anything to add? Matt loves it. Jim loves it.
Nothing to add, Kai, except I find something new every time I use it.
Yes.
And I think that's part of the cool aspect of it is just the more you dig, the more there's there. It's not like it's almost a renewable resource, Kai. It's not exhaustive. It's not a fossil fuel in terms of information. So shout out to CBB Analytics. All right, yeah, news and notes, guys. The key headlines. We're going to talk a couple of Big Ten teams in semi-turmoil. First, Illinois, hoping to possibly get Terrence Shannon back. There's a whole bunch of legal behind-the-scenes maneuvering going on. Shannon has filed a restraining order against the University of Illinois. I think there's basically the idea that he is being declared guilty by being suspended before any sort of due process, or is quasi guilty. So he's trying to get back on the court. Kai, I think you read a little bit more about this. What kind of details do the people need to know about Shannon potentially being available?
Yeah, I just looked at it a little deeper than maybe just glance at the headline. I didn't go deep diving, but filed a restraining order kind of caught my eye because I was like, oh, I guess I don't understand what that really means. It's against the University of Illinois, who suspended him in the first place. It was the athletic department, and he's saying that the panel that was on the case that decided to suspend him, the case team, that they lacked due process and there's lack of contact throughout the whole process. I'm not a lawyer. Apparently that's bad. So if the restraining order is granted, he could be back with the team tomorrow, Thursday, against Michigan State, or even Sunday against Maryland. If it's not or stalled, I assume he's still out, but obviously a saga that it's going to be in the news for a while.
Yeah, there's all this. It's not the same thing, but it's like the two-time transfer that had the temporary restraining order that allowed all those guys to play. The uproar and backlash ended up letting them be available for the whole season with no punishment. I think that's what they're trying to get here is in any way, can we get him back on the court? And, honestly, if he ends up being completely proven innocent, it's going to be a bummer if he doesn't get to play his final year there. So it's a very tricky line to walk where you don't want to disrespect the victim or play a guy that is guilty. It's just tough to know exactly what to do while the legal process plays out. Shifting away from legality and all that, there is more drama in Ann Arbor. Michigan is now 6-9 overall. They're 1-3 in the Big Ten. They are a far, far cry from dominating Rick Pitino at Madison Square Garden to start the year or very early in the year. And Kai, it's just getting even weirder. Like they played a game in Philadelphia, not even a true road game at Penn State. There's a little schedule break, replacing that by playing it to Palestra. But then Juwan Howard lets Phil Martelli take over back as coach, and they get blown out in the second half. What is going on in Ann Arbor?
I don't know. It's a nice gesture. I get it. Make him the honorary head coach in his return to Philly, but it's still extremely bizarre, right? Especially given the fact that Martelli has coached this team this season and also has done it with Howard on the bench. It's a really weird move. I think it sends a weird message in terms of who's really leading the program and is there strong leadership. In my, outside view, it seems Juwan's checked out, and I think he thinks the writing's on the wall and this is it, or he wants to leave. One of those type of things. It's not a good situation at Michigan.
No, it's bad, Matt. When you played, Matt, I felt like, or when any of us played, head coaches and assistants would emphasize different things. And sometimes it's like, well, I got to listen to the head coach because he's the head coach. Then if you change who is the head coach, it's just a weird dynamic, Matthew. Your thoughts on Michigan?
Yeah, it is bizarre. In a nutshell, if there wasn't any prior drama associated with Juwan Howard, as we know there to be, if there wasn't any prior drama with Phil Martelli and some of the other assistants, as I think know there to be, then I think in a one-game situation, given the Martelli affinity in Philadelphia, actually I'm fine with it. Sure, why not? But I think it's a continuation and an extenuation of the whole nonsense drama circus that's been going on. Just the state of Michigan, big drama state for hoops this year. Like between Sparty and the this whole Michigan thing. Just a lot of content for our boys over at Sleepers to break down. Just a lot of off the court
football,
nonsense, the quotes,
Pistons. You got everything up there, Matt.
Yeah. Sleepers is having a great season. I know they're about to do their Big Ten on the road, Big Ten to go series too. So, check out Sleepers Media because they are extremely entertaining and really boots on the ground with all this Michigan and even Michigan State stuff. We're going to talk Tom Izzo's press conference a little bit later in We've Saw That. No recruiting news to get to. We love that. We love focusing on actual basketball.
Ooh, mention the Travis Ford thing real quick, Jim, because we did have a question about it. So I added it late to the outline here.
Oh, yeah. So basically his son got caught having a burner or multiple burners. I think even
multiple
defending.
burners.
Yeah. Defending his dad, Travis Ford, the head coach at SLU. It's ridiculous to have multiple burners, and to be dumb enough to get caught is even worse. It's just kind of goes to the fact that a lot of SLU fans are probably ready to move on, or at the very least, very, very frustrated. And then you add this to the element or to the mix, and it's not good.
Yeah, just thought it garnered a courtesy mention. Just funny stuff there.
Wait, he's on the team, right? We should clarify that he is a member of the basketball team, correct? Travis Ford's son. Did he walk on?
I don't know, Matthew. I will assign you the task of verifying that.
Might have used to have been. Might be a coach now somewhere. I don't know.
Matt, you stat boy that, and we're going to hit the big injury of the week, and that is Bryce Hopkins out for the year with a torn ACL. Seton Hall knocked off Providence on the road, and we thought that was the worst thing that happened to Providence that day. No, incorrect. Unfortunately, the Friars have lost an all Big East caliber forward. Offense is really reliant on Devin Carter hitting tough shots, Josh Oduro scoring 1v1 or even 1v2 in the post. They've got to figure out a little bit more of a pecking order around those guys because, Kai, we know that the Big East is going to be cruel. We just watched Rick Pitino massively outcoach Kyle Neptune at Philadelphia. Providence got St. John's tonight, and it's not going to get any easier for the Friars as they're now thinner up front.
Yeah, and they got down 18 to Creighton. And, they somehow came back, but probably should have lost by a ton in that game. I've watched this team too many times, and I've had money on them. They cannot score outside of Oduro and Carter. You take those guys away, there's nothing. So this is a huge injury for them. I would say they don't make the tournament at this point, just based on the injury.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because the English really did have them on the right trajectory, heading towards the tournament. They were kind of unbeatable at home, and then they take that injury. Garway Duell also dealing with like a shoulder thing. He's almost like playing with one arm hanging at the side of his body against Creighton. It's tough. It's tough for Providence right now, and like I said, it does not get much easier in the Big East. Although they still have 2 Georgetown and 2 DePaul matchups to look forward to. Matthew, do you have a fact check?
I do. He's not on the team. That's Travis Ford's son. Shane, a college sophomore, is not on the team. I don't know why I heard that or where I came up with that notion, but still does not make the story any less wild.
If you just if you know that guy just a little bit and you see him around campus, so you're just like, you loser. Like,
I thought it'd be funny if he made multiple burners. If one of the burner was the one that outed the initial burner, so he was trying to cover his tracks in a very complex web of sorts.
That's also, like the trying to avoid bias by being anti-bias, et cetera, et cetera.
And you get caught in a web of confusion. Yeah.
Dad's fine, Shane. That buyout's huge. He's made multi-millions of dollars. You're fine. You'll get another job somewhere. Don't worry about it.
God, the amount of shit talk I would allow anyone to say about me if I was making 7 figures.
Yeah.
I'd the thing.
Go for it.
Great take, Jim. That's the best take we've had on this podcast in years. If we made millions of dollars, you could lob any grenade as personal as low as you want to. I promise you, I would look the other way.
Yep.
And
I would easily tolerate that. I would open up my online banking and say, "Oh yeah, that's why I don't care."
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Travis Ford figured out Providence. We are bummed for you because Big East games are very fun when they're played at a high level. And unfortunately, Providence might struggle to get to that level. All right. Other random news and notes. Big day yesterday in college hoops, Tuesday night, because number 1 and number 2 both went down to unranked opponents on the road. Purdue losing at Nebraska. The Huskers shot 60% from 3, just absolutely torched the nets against the Boilers. They also Second straight game limited Zach Edey. Illinois and Nebraska both had really good game plans against him, got in a little bit of foul trouble. We'll see if that continues through league play. Probably not, but and then Houston got down 14 zip on the road against Hilton Magic, got all the way back and eventually took the lead, but couldn't quite close it out down the stretch. Mr. McEwen, Jeff Borzello had a great stat of the day here.
He did. Iowa State has 7 wins over the AP top 10 since the start of last season, the most in college basketball.
Have a wonderful home court and play in the Big 12. That's how you get a lot of top 10 wins. They're coming to your place. I'm still bummed the guys we caught Hilton Magic on a Christmas break game where the students weren't in full force.
Apparently they weren't there against Houston either, because I asked why did
there
they
was a
rush the
blizzard
court?
too.
Yeah,
there was a blizzard as well. So actually, like the exact same scenario when we were there, because there was a huge ice storm. I think when we went the night before or something.
It's actually similar time frame too. It was a question of why they didn't rush the court, and I was responded with, "Oh, students weren't there." Hey, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, get out there on the court. Rush the court as an adult. I might start bringing that to games.
Go have fun. Yeah, Nebraska rushed the court, Kai. So hat tip to Pinnacle Bank Arena. They got crazy. There was a lot of people tweeting about how insane that place is when Nebraska is good. Trey Dem's former Northwestern guard said it was the hardest place to play, loudest place to play when he was in the Big Ten.
Wow.
Petway and Siobhan Shields were there lighting it up. So impressive praise for Pinnacle Bank. Matthew, they love their basketball in the heartland of Nebraska.
Nebraska ball, they certainly do. I mean, I think there's a little bit of there's a Creighton little brother yearning to be at that level. And obviously with football being so shitty for as many years now, I think they can certainly revel in the hoop.
Yeah. And Creighton is a tremendous fan base itself. Like they fill up a giant arena every single game. Per Matt Norlander, the last time number 1 and number 2 both lost on the same day was February 26th, 2022. So did not happen at all last season. A little surprised it was only a year and a half ago. That was Gonzaga and Arizona both falling. I think it was the final day of the regular season or second last weekend. Final day of the regular season in the WCC. That's what it was for Gonzaga. So yeah, wild, real wild. We had a lot of ranked matchups last night. Baylor BYU lived up to the hype. Cincinnati, Texas wasn't quite a ranked matchup. A lot of great ball, and we're just going to get more of it as league play goes on. We'll close Roots Roundup, Kai, with the Reddit stat of the day. That it's triumphant return.
Bringing these back from only499 is the username in Reddit, but it's via a Twitter account from Jordan D. Hill. So Mike White, the head coach of Georgia, has started SEC play with a win in each of his first 2 seasons. The last Georgia coach to do that was Ralph Jordan back in 1946, 47, 47, 48. That's a long time, Jim.
Yeah, very long. And I have no idea who Ralph Shug Jordan is.
Shug Jordan.
That is a name I am unfamiliar with. Glad he was able to get mentioned here. I'm sure his estate is thrilled. So congrats. All right, Kai. Actually, back to Matt. Matthew, you are our host today. You get to take us through We've Saw That.
Yes, I do. What did we see over the last week or 6 nights of collegiate hoop? As we had talked about, there are no more undefeated basketball teams. Everyone has a dark mark on their resume. Ole Miss, kind of the so-called paper tiger who had just escaped a bunch of close calls, but undefeated under Chris Beard in his first year there at Ole Miss, finally went down, and they went down in emphatic fashion, much to my chagrin as an Ole Miss backer against Tennessee. But yeah, Tennessee just put the hammer on them in the second half, and that looked like a team that had finally cracked, I'd say, after kind of, like I said, walking on eggshells. And they had close calls against a bunch of bad teams too. Still, Ole Miss, 13-1, really good team. Not sure they're a fraud, but we'll find out. SEC play is no picnic. So
they got daddied, Matthew. The rebounding battle was 47-24. Tennessee had 19 offensive rebounds, and Ole Miss had 24 total rebounds. So yeah, it was a punking down the stretch in the second half. However, not the worst punking in the SEC on Saturday. We will get to Auburn, what they did to Arkansas in a little bit.
We talked about Iowa State, Houston last night. James Madison, the mid-major darling of this season, finally took an L at Southern Miss. The Fighting Jay Ladners, the Fighting Andre Curbellos. Curbello leading the charge there, had a nice little game. Just a really good team. Fun dynamic this year. I'm glad that team still has lots of praise after their breakthrough year last year. Bello makes them relevant again this season. They're actually good. They're well coached. We'll see if that's sustainable.
You're being kind.
No, I think they're bad. This was shocking. And
it's
of
a
course,
fluke. Ooh, okay, all right.
Yeah, they're talented.
Sunbelt's good, man.
They were
Sunbelt's a good
supposed
team.
to be really
lost
good.
to Georgia Southern. They lost Florida. Like
they were
been
supposed to be good. That's why this result is annoying.
I think they're going to be good.
We're
That's my
backing them a
take.
lot.
I think they're going to have a nice little Sunbelt record. We'll look back at their non kind of sort of a fluke. And that's from someone who doesn't really think Curbello's a winning player. I think he's not good fit for a conference or a Sunbelt team.
I think that was their first cover with Curbelo in the lineup.
Yeah, they've really struggled. They did. I think they narrowly covered against Georgia State. Kai and Curbelo had a triple double in that game. That we're going to talk quick a little bit about triple doubles. Might as well bring it up here so Southern Miss doesn't get two different mentions. But yeah, Curbelo is too good for that level. The guy was a contributor to a Final Four contender at Illinois. Was one of the better players on a Big East team, and now he's in the Sun Belt. He should continue to dominate for a team that actually has talent around him too.
Yeah, speaking of down transfer triple doubles, KK Robinson at Little Rock, 18, 10, and 12. That team has a lot of talent, and they also just have Mikal Mitchell, former Arkansas transfer, greenlit. We'll see if they can resurrect some hope in a pretty much irrelevant conference. I'll just call it what it is this year. Well, I'm sorry, they will be irrelevant in that conference. I think that's just what I see it going. And Golden Dike, one of the Spanish conquistadors of the beloved Loyola Greyhound frontline, triple double, 13, 11, and 10 against Lehigh for you Patriot diehards out there. That's a fun team to watch play if you're into really, really intricate offensive sets, but not if you're into watching points and pizzazz and flair, because there's not a lot of that when you're watching.
Yeah, there's been like 17, I think it was, triple doubles this season. This is the only one that happened in a loss. So I feel like that tells you what you need to know about the Greyhounds this year.
Yeah, tough. Again, fun little narrative with who they recruit and how they play, but doesn't really result in wins. Shouts to a couple of 40 burgers. Bryce Goodine for Fairfield. Are the Fairfield Stags a good basketball team, Kai McKidd?
I think they're really good. The backcourt is awesome.
Are they the best team in the Metro Atlantic, guys? That league is
I think they are
insane to figure out. Like
it's never a question that has a clear answer. It hasn't had a clear answer in the last 20 years.
Yes, it has.
Iona's
been clearly the best.
With the exception of Iona's dominance, which I guess is most of the time. So you're right. Recently,
with the exception of maybe the most dominant mid-major program
this year, it certainly has no answer. But as of this moment in time, at 1:23 Central Standard Time, January 10th, I believe the Fairfield Stags are the best team in the league. I agree. Shout to the Sheriff Gross Bullock at Bryant, had 41 against UMBC on Saturday. The Bryant Bulldogs are better than people think, and they are fun to watch when they have it going. They beat Drexel by 20 points, and Drexel's laying waste to the CAA right now. So we'll see what Baby Martelli has going long term there in the NEC.
They beat someone else too, Matthew.
Sorry, the A East. Who else they beat? They beat
your Burrow,
FAU.
Yeah. Not a bad win.
Who have continued to fall on eggshells across the conference. We will get to that later, as I'm sure I'll find many excuses for my Owls, but I digress. We continue through what else do we see. As alluded to earlier in the program, the drama in the Mitten State, Tom Izzo put on his old curmudgeon hat and went off about analytics, among other things, after a pretty shocking loss at Northwestern. It seemed like the Spartans had it all going. I thought they would at least compete.
Yeah, shocking in how it played out. Like they just got
demolition
off the floor. Yeah.
So, and basically what he said is, my favorite specific quote was you can't blame the players today, so I'll take the blame, as opposed to like actually genuinely taking the blame, which I think is what you're supposed to do. I kind of like his point though. I feel like coaches sometimes aren't to blame and their players just didn't show up, but you can't say that because your players want to play for you. Izzo is at his wit's end. And I think moments like this kind of show that. I'm not saying it's like a complete spiral. It's going to unravel this season, but talking about that and then poo-pooing analytics is always a good old hat move. Kai, any thoughts on the overall Izzo soapbox?
I didn't actually catch it. And maybe Jim has better thoughts, but ranting about analytics always gets my goat. And it's like, what are you arguing against? Just objective math? I don't understand, Jim. Go ahead.
It was like he wanted to criticize his players for not being tough, basically. He's like, we weren't physical enough. They kind of bullied us, was what he wanted to say. But then he started into like, you can't blame your players. I'm not allowed to do that. He said, but today wasn't Michigan State basketball. And somebody asked him, what is Michigan State basketball? And he goes, defense, rebounding, But it's not analytics. What does analytics tell you? He holds up the box score. He's like, does this say we won the game? It's like, no, it says you lost by 16. What are you talking about? He just like got in such a fury that he stopped making sense completely. And he threw out analytics as a straw man when it came down to it and he got it at the end, he's like, I have to take the football pads back out, but I might get sued. He just like couldn't articulate a point, and it ended up being kind of a laughable rant.
I certainly empathize for a long-winded lack of coherence rant. I do those many a time here. So for that, I give him an excuse. And I do think the criticism was overly focused on analytics when really it wasn't about that. I think it was just about the trying to find ways to call his team soft, saying we have to get tougher without saying it directly as a call out to his players. That's really the takeaway from the rant. So I don't know. Michigan State's still good. I'm not gonna like pull the fire alarm and like, this team sucks. It's like, no, they're still gonna be fine. I think.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think they got a chance to win at Illinois and just flip this narrative real quick.
Guy makes a mid-range shot. What about analytics? They tell you that was a bad shot.
God, people just the people that don't understand analytics are the ones that hate it the most. People who actually like it are like, it's a tool, it's a guide, it's to help you. It is not a be all end all by any means. All right, that's it, Matthew. Sorry.
Well, no, Jim, you're fine. I want to highlight a couple of bad losses over the weekend. There was a few more, but the ones that really jumped out as sort of a alarming sign for blue blood-ish programs, we'll call them, Arkansas and UCLA notably. Arkansas got completely housed by Auburn, who we know is a really good basketball team, like very, very good, maybe even elite. But Arkansas at home has been like one of the most dangerous bear traps for any team. I don't think the 96 Bulls could go in there and probably play Arkansas close. Not the case. And Muscle March, Jimbo, not in Muscle March form. He's in muscle January form where it looks like the sky is falling. And then right now, I guess it kind of is.
Yeah, I didn't sleep very well last night. It was constantly turning over, rolling over. And I did less rolling over than Arkansas did against Auburn. Hey-o, zing, boom. I mean, they quit in the second half. It was bad. Effort was not there. I'm sure Musselman would have had a great rant. I didn't see his press conference. I imagine it was pretty scathing. I'm curious to see how they react now going on the road to Georgia, a team that they should beat, or not should beat. They're a slight underdog, but beatable. And does Musselman have all of their attention and it's like, you guys need to start figuring out? Or is it like typical years where it takes until late January, early February, and then they go on their run? Because I'm not fooled into thinking, Kai, that they're going to like go 6-12 in the SEC. I don't believe that.
Exactly. Transfer recruiting is weird, right? It's hindsight clearly, but getting winning players is important. And did he get winning players? No offense to Brazil and Mizzou, but he's played for Mizzou. That's not a winning player
when they were really bad.
When they were bad. Tremo Mark played for Houston, but he also transferred from Houston, and we've seen how that's gone. Samson's basically like, you can go to guys that want to leave the program, not play defense.
Yeah, Minifield, L. Ellis,
Minifield
programs. Yeah,
right, exactly. So I don't know.
Arkansas fans, I do not share the same bed with Kai and Jim on this. I know you're gobbling up all of these takes and gonna come back with the howitzer and shoot them back in our face in March when you guys are.
Whoa, no! I said I don't think they're screwed at all.
They're still in play for sure for the tournament. They beat
okay, sorry.
They beat Duke.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Arkansas we'll discuss in March. I don't even want to discuss Arkansas until March comes around. It's all irrelevant. Whether they win by 30 or by 30, it just doesn't really matter. And UCLA, tough losses over the weekend. I don't want to pile on here. I think I've kind of made it my shtick too much that I was very, very right about this team.
Go ahead.
Very good.
Well, they keep playing bad after we talk about them, like playing even worse.
Pile on.
And the headline here was after the loss to Cal, which by the way broke Cal's 19 straight losses to Pac-12 foes. Cal.
Wow.
So yeah, tough run there for Mark Fox at the end. But they get the monkey off their back. They beat UCLA at Pauley Pavilion, and Mick Cronin decides to take a pass at the press conference, much to the media's dismay. Later claiming had to be with his players in that moment. So kind of a better move than Izzo on the, always side with the players, cozy up to the players. I think a better PR move for Mick coming out of that than Tom Izzo. So just a comparison there.
Pretty soft.
UCLA's just bad. It was a little soft. I agree.
Pretty soft
Face
by
of
Nick.
music. That's what you're supposed to do.
Ooh, I actually think that I'd rather have a passionate rant from my coach than a straight up no show.
I would too, Jim. I don't think the players are wired like us though, because we are #olds. I think now.
I mean, but it's not like he's been great when he has given press conferences. He's eviscerated his players. Like you have he's quotes like you have a privilege to be playing here, and that may not last forever. Like the threat of taking it away. Bill Plaschke sat down into the college basketball world to eviscerate Cronin.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
This is a guy who's usually on around the horn talking NFL, NBA is like, oh, here's a topic that I can cherry pick and destroy somebody, and it worked. So yeah, I think Kai, you said Juwan Howard might be done. I think Cronin wants out of UCLA. I don't think he likes the media. I don't think he likes their NIL. I think there's talks about him maybe being Louisville's guy, and I think there might be
what a hire.
They go their separate ways, and
I totally see that, Jim. Like to me, like the quality of life has to be so good there, with the money he's making living in LA. But I think Mick is just a guy that he's a guy that wants to be in the coal mines, man. He's a trenches, gritty grinder, and that is the antithesis of LA basketball. Like that's just what it has been like the last few years, UCLA, whatever. So I agree. I hope that happens. I do.
Yeah, he just wants to be uncomfortable. Like he wants to just get in spats. Like he doesn't want to sit on
Cincinnati for forever. I mean, the
Yeah.
Cincy fans are bananas crazy, right? Like you saw when they lost to Texas last night, but you see that fan base in full force, just on the floor going nuts. And I'm sorry, Paulie Pavilion hasn't had that juice since even at its apex during the Juzang Tiger run, it wasn't nearly that good. So. I digress. Let's move on to 3-man thoughts. But first, an ad from Home Field, Mr. McKeon.
Home Field Apparel. I'm not wearing their shirt today, but you will rarely see me not wearing a Home Field shirt. Why? Because they're the best shirts on planet Earth. They're super comfy, and as a bonus, they have college basketball teams on there, and colleges. It's not all basketball. There's football tees. Heck, they have a Michigan championship tee and hoodie, if that's your sort of thing. Look at that shirt from Jim. That Southern Miss beauty. Wow. Gorgeous looking shirt.
I do
Jim's, Jim's Sunbelt ticket. I assume that's why he bought it last season.
Sure is. Yep.
Homefieldapparel.com is where you go to shop these wonderful designs on I almost said comfy ass shirts. They are comfy ass shirts. Power 5, D3, doesn't matter. They probably have your school. Hundreds of schools on their site right now. The best people too. I really enjoy working with these guys. So nice, humble, from Indianapolis. Just regular dudes that like putting schools on shirts, joggers, hats, whatever you want. They probably got them. Bombers, incredible stuff. Homefield, APPARL is their Twitter handle. Communicate with them. Tell them to get more shirts for your school. Tell them to get shirts, period, for your school. If they happen to be missing it, they probably don't. And you can get a discount at checkout when you use our promo code 3MW, 15% off, homefieldapparel.com. That's Homefield, wear one for the team.
Thank you, Mr. McKeon. And thank you, Homefield, for all that you do for us and for our loyal listeners. I am going to spin the dial. Wheel of Fortune thing. Jim, lead off our, bad sound effects there. I don't think it had a soundboard or something. But Jim, why don't you lead us off with your first thought?
All right. I'm gonna give some love to some surprising at-large candidates. I think we talked about a couple of these teams a little bit, both on this episode and in past weeks, but I think we want to give them a true shine. And we're starting right off the bat with Nebraska, arguably the biggest win of the week, knocking off Purdue at home, a team that, Nebraska is probably fringe at-largey, not in the field. Then you get this monster W where you beat the number one team in the country by 16. Everybody kind of pays attention now. Nebraska ball actually legit. Fred Hoiberg's got him cooking. Keisei Tominaga is a monster shooting the rock. Rink Mass is holding it down in the paint. CJ Wilcher was really hot from the perimeter last night too. Kai, I'm buying Nebraska. Every time I watch them, I'm like, I think this team's just good. So credit to the Huskers. I want to see them in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm starting to admit that that's the case, Jim. And man, you talk about winning transfers. How about Rink Mast and Bryce Williams? I know Charlotte wasn't great, but I consider Ron Sanchez a good coach, and that's a good program that taught the right stuff. And Bradley, of course, a winning program. I mean, those are two fantastic transfers. They're crushing it. So yeah, I think Nebraska's for real, especially at home. We'll see if they can keep hold and serve on the road a little bit in the Big Ten.
That's the question.
A little iffy, but I hope they make the tournament. They should be back in the dance.
Yeah, Bryce
Good
Williams
fits too, Jim.
9 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, almost a triple-double against Purdue. Agree, Matt. Good fits.
Like they basically found a winning formula last year to some degree, right? More winning than he's done in prior years with Derek Walker and a good passing big to get Mass to replace that and run that back has been suave. Shouts to my building fellow neighbor, Freddie Horberg owns the one of the penthouses in my building. So
wow,
I basically consider him a brother. Yep.
Is Hoiberg back? Asks Pat.
Yes. Is he back? Yeah, never left.
Never left.
I've been a mayor defender for years.
When they were losing at home to like every bye game, they play like 2 bye games a year. He had left.
Hey, tough place to win.
9-50 his first 3 years in the Big Ten.
Tough place to win.
Yeesh.
He's winning now, though. Okay, the other 3 teams here, Minnesota, maybe not quite an at-large team yet, but they're looking rock solid. They just beat Maryland at home. Maryland, a team that I think even us said, oh, this is our pick for number 3 in the Big Ten in the preseason. And man, Minnesota's been solid. We kind of teased the roster too, bringing in Mike Mitchell from Pepperdine, and I know what's his name, Elijah Mitchell, the other point guard,
Elijah Hawkins.
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you. From Howard, at least Howard's winning program, but it was like, wow, we're pulling guys from a much lower level. Is this team good enough to win in the Big Ten? Yes, they are. They've been really good, and Kai, I think the question is the same with them. Can they win on the road? It's going to be a pervasive question through these Big Ten teams.
Beat Michigan. It's a good start.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of teams are going to beat Michigan.
Yes.
I think Michigan finishes last in the Big Ten. I'll just say that right now.
It sucks. I was pretty confident getting, was it over 8 wins on FanDuel was offering that at one point. I felt really confident in that. Yikes.
Yeah, and they started so hot, but it's kind of snowballing, and if their coach rolls over and quits on them, it could get ugly there. And there's just no real bad teams if Minnesota's good and Nebraska's good. So yeah. South Carolina, Matthew, we'll finally say something nice about one of Pat Taylor's teams here. How about that? The Gamecocks have been excellent. They did just get thoroughly trounced in the second half at Alabama, but they opened SEC play with a nice home win over Mississippi State. They're getting a little bit more from Colin Murray Boyles, the freshman who was a stud in their foreign tour trip, who had mono to start the year. So you add him in with Michi Johnson and BJ Mack and some of the other guys. Like I think South Carolina is also a legit tournament team right now.
Yeah, Bracket Matrix has them as a 9 seed. 9 seed? Yeah. I mean, SEC, plenty of home opportunities to rack up Q1, Q2 wins. So I like the team. I said it last year. I said it this year. You could see something developing. So you get the GG Jackson thing out of the way. You get a more cohesive unit, second year in Paris's system, how they defend, how they operate on offense. I really like it. I'm just surprised that like BJ Mack is like their go-to like center. I just didn't think that would hold up in the SEC, but he's just been great. I mean, there's nothing else another way to slice it.
Yep. And then finally, Seton Hall. I think we had all kind of put them down at 9th in the Big East. Like, hey, they're better than Georgetown and DePaul, but that roster's not super encouraging. But man, they beat UConn. They survived that trap game on the road at Georgetown. They beat Marquette. They're just good. I don't know what to. And maybe they're overdoing it shooting wise in Big East play right now. Alamir Dawes has been hot. But Kadari Richmond is engaged most of the time now, and when he's engaged, he's awesome. So that helps them quite a bit.
He is awesome. We loved him, right? 2 years ago when we sang his praises and kind of let down. I don't know, man. Look, eye test, I swear this team is not that good. Like eye test, I'm not impressed. But they play so freaking hard and they make such difficult shots. And they're well coached. Holloway's a fantastic coach. That they really have a shot. And I don't think they're going to win the Big East. I think they'll finish 5th or something like that. They'll come back down to earth. But yeah, impressive run for sure.
Yeah, they're hard to play against. That's a good team. Jim, we watched them play the worst game of the year against Monmouth, right? Like that was just the absolute
that got me
lowest
off the scent, unfortunately.
And I was like, I missed all the new stuff that's happened since. Yep.
That got me off the scent because they didn't try hard. And part of their whole shtick, as Kai said, is trying hard. I cannot believe Dylan Nadai-Wusu left St. John's, or if he was pushed out by Pitino, that's crazy because he is a Pitino player, just a phenomenal defender,
Bulldog
disruptive.
Guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was such a great fit. It shocked me that he moved on, but he'll get to one of Matt's classic revenge games coming up in a week, Tuesday, January 16th. All right, Matt, that's my first thought. I will send it over
I'm
to
taking
Kai.
it back. No, I'm taking it back because my thought is
okay.
a piggyback off of your shim. Because it's just good to lead off with bracketology themes. I think we're at the point now of the season where we actually can talk bracketology tournament outlooks with some real teeth to them. It is early, but I think Bracket Matrix posted their first official. I saw who else posted their first official. It's starting to trickle out there. You're seeing it in the college hoops zeitgeist, so we're going to piggyback and ride that wave. My first thought is a shout to NIT Stu. Just an absolute goat in the college basketball blogosphere with his NIT watch list, which I will discuss 4 teams who had at-large hopes but are trending very quickly toward the NIT picture, and they better start winning some games or else they're going to slide below that. My Indiana Hoosiers, which I won't talk about it nauseam. I think people are going to be tired of hearing about my thoughts in Indiana, but Virginia, Xavier, and St. Mary's. Let's start with Virginia first. I
don't get to make fun of Indiana.
Let's go with Indiana. Jim, do you have an initial?
I just wanted to call them the
Hoosiers,
but I just wanted to call them the Indiana Losers instead of Hoosiers.
I can't figure that team out whatsoever.
Kai, let me help you figure it out. It's not a good basketball team. They look good at home sometimes because they play at a really good home court environment. But they're not a good team.
They suck. It's just
not a good team.
They suck on the road.
Xavier, it's a dumb team. It's a team that doesn't defend with any discipline. I can tolerate the lack of shooting and the antiquated offense, and I'm not going to defend Woodson for that stuff. But I can live with that if you stick to that natural identity. But you can't not defend consistently, and you can't not try consistently, and then most importantly, you can't have these really clear lapses of effort. Well, they 4 for 15 from the line last night. I mean, that's just a joke. That's embarrassing.
This was our thoughts after the Army game. It was, whoa, this team's horrible defensively. Whoa, this team has no effort. Whoa, blah, blah. And then they cover a few games, and they don't cover when you bet on them. They're a frustrating team, Matthew. They're frustrating. Not well coached.
Team.
Temperature check on Xavier Johnson, because I think he's bad.
Always has been a not a good player, not a winning player whatsoever.
I think he had better days in an IU uniform. I will defend him in his prior stints wearing the Creed and Crimson. However, what I've seen recently, a lot of it's rust. I'm going to give him another 2 weeks before I come to that conclusion. I'll bang the gavel with you, Kai, but I'll give him 2 more weeks here. I'm coming off the injury here. Let's talk about Virginia. We've already mentioned some of the rumors that Tony Bennett is kind of losing his luster. It's not his luster, his appetite to continue to go through the new era of college hoops. The Hoos lost at NC State over the weekend by 16. They beat Louisville by 24 on Wednesday before, but then they lost to Notre Dame before that. Their best wins, they did beat Syracuse and Texas A&M and Florida. So, they definitely are not out of the tournament picture, but there's a lot of work to do. And I think for a team that's young and has very little margin for error, I think there are going to be some landmine losses. I think that's an NIT team at this point, guys, the Hoos.
If they're an NIT team, it's because they might be the worst road team in the entire country. That's why horrendous on the road. Lost by 23 at Memphis, 22 at Notre Dame, 16 at NC State. No prayer at winning any of those games. Just buried from early moments, at least in the second half. If nothing translates, we thought we always say defense travels, Matthew. This team's defense isn't traveling, and their offense barely shows up. So that's if they can't figure anything out away from home, they're screwed.
Well, here's what I do know is they play Duke once. That game is at Cameron. They play Clemson once. That game is at Littlejohn. They play UNC once, who, by the way, they've had trouble with historically. UNC's kind of had Bennett's number lately. That game is at JPJ, but we shall see. I'm selling my Virginia stock. Sorry. Shouts to Luke Neer and the AC Gens podcast, by the way. Great work they do up there in Charlotte. Xavier, the X-Men, Mr. McKeon, the Muskies, I think at this point we've known them to be just in a down rut because of their injuries. They've had moments though, right? Almost beating Houston and, playing competitively with Purdue for 35 minutes. And, they beat Seton Hall and they beat Cincinnati and St. Mary's by big margins, but 7-7, lost to Villanova by 1 last Wednesday. We'll see what they do tonight at home against UConn, but I think Sean Miller is going to have to be taking the year off from the postseason picture, from a national, from the NCAA perspective, I should say.
I feel bad putting them in this category just because of the injuries.
Yeah, it's not fair. I know. I'm just saying, this is not you're right. So we can poke fun at Indiana. Xavier's more of a we feel bad for you type of narrative.
They're well coached, extremely well coached, and here's the proof: they're competitive.
Yeah, they should not be top 50 with this roster. I firmly believe they are that gutted. They have a mid-major backcourt. Then their front court's just gone. It's not there. It's non-existent. So tough. St. Mary's, speaking of the Gales, very Jekyll and Hyde type team. Everyone thought they would run through the WCC and challenge Gonzaga. And I'm not saying they won't challenge Gonzaga. I just don't know
I'll say
if they. Okay, say it, Jim.
They won't
challenge
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Okay. 2-0 so far, though, with wins over San Diego and Loyola Marymount. Whoop-de-doo. Resume is pretty light. They just lost too many games they should have won. Missouri State, Utah at home, they missed an opportunity there. They got blown out by San Diego State. Mentioned the loss to Xavier. The Weber State lost way back when. I think the WCC tournament will be the last hurrah for Randy Bennett to squeak into the postseason this year. I do not think there's any at-large path that's ahead of them. So
I can't believe I'm shocked how much they rely on Josh Jefferson. I didn't think that was going to be the case coming into the year.
A little too much.
I will say, Matt, your boy Gus through 2 games in Big East or in WCC play, 19 points, 6.5 assists a game. If he actually gives them more spark in the backcourt, maybe there's something unlockable here.
Yeah, I just noticed the competition, San Diego and Loyola Marymount. I just think against good guards, Gus is sort of he clams up. I love him, but hey, Gus is like me. Against premier defenders, I can't handle it. I don't respond well to that type of person. I'm more of a cushy type of matchup combo guard Kai. That concludes my first thought. Quick note to Texas and Texas Tech, who are going to be in this section, but have recently, I think, put themselves on the right side of the tournament picture. Kai, to you.
Yeah, those. I'll just say quick that jump. Those two have surged into part of my thoughts. We will discuss those teams. Yep.
Little this or that, bringing this back. Yeah, this or that. This or that.
We can get with.
You can get with this. Okay.
You can get with
back your horse for the remainder of the season, fellas. I chose 2 teams that are ranked right next to each other on KenPom right now. You tell me who's going to finish ahead of the other. Chat can play along. First one, Big East battle. Number 14, Creighton. Number 15, Marquette. Who finishes higher? Jim.
Marquette. I came into the year a big Creighton believer, but they just don't do enough to bug you defensively, and they're too much variance offensively, just relying on the 3. They don't put any rim pressure off the bounce. So yeah, I'm going Marquette there. I think they've got a little bit safer upside or safer floor with more upside.
Matthew.
Marquette.
And I'll go Marquette. I still love this team. They will finish top 10. You mark my words. Pac-12.
I'll Marquette your words.
Okay, Marquette my words. Marquette High School. Shout out Matthew and me. Marquette High School.
Hangs up.
Pac-12 battle. Number 29, Utah. Number 30, Colorado. I already know your answer, Matt. What is it?
Actually, I'll hesitate for drama, but no, I will say the running Utes of Sac Lake City, as they call it on the football gridiron. Yeah, Colorado's injuries are too substantial. I think that's going to really take a toll. I think Utah's been better on the road than Colorado has too.
I'm Utah as well, although I did see Davon Smith got banged up last game. I don't know for sure what the extent of his injury might be, or if he's even long-term hurt at all. But either way, I think I'd still go Utah. Colorado's got injuries too.
Yeah. Spin zone, Colorado's still 30th despite major injuries. Undervalued when they come back, maybe. I don't know. Not saying they will.
I've probably overrated or underrated them. I usually do with Tad Boyle teams. I've never been higher than the public on a Colorado team. So sorry, Tad. Just my general aim.
When healthy, their offense has been redonkulous.
Yeah.
It's really good.
My boy, my guy, hashtag my guy is back healthy, Tristan Silva. So look out.
I'm going to take Utah too. I just love Craig Smith, as you do too.
Yeah.
Mid-major battle. This one's interesting. Number 21, FAU. Number 22, San Diego State. Jim.
Interesting too, yeah, because they played in the Final Four last year. San Diego State won on a buzzer beater. I'm going Aztecs. I'll talk about them a little bit more in one of my thoughts, but I think I got too cute with Aztecs takes this year. They're just still very good, and Ladie is, sorry, Isaiah Stevens, but the most dominant player in that conference.
Yeah, he's awesome. It's FAU for me, Jim. Don't back off that take. I think we were in the right to raise an eyebrow with a smidge of skepticism towards San Diego State. I'm sticking to that. I think they're a really good team. I just don't think they're a dominant mountain. I don't know. I guess what's the argument here of how good San Diego State is? Kind of comes down to context. But
San Diego State doesn't lose his 15-point favorite and 8-point favorite and 22-point favorite. It's like FAU has done 3 times this year.
They've been more consistent. I still think FAU is the better team.
I never lost faith in you, San Diego State. You are a dominant Mountain West team, and you are awesome this year. Like every single year, the last 6 years under Brian Dutcher. Disappointing power battle. Number 60, Virginia. Number 61, USC. Matthew.
USC.
Yeah, you hate Virginia. Jim.
The youth, there's upside with USC, I think.
Truth.
I do believe that.
I'll go Virginia. Matt takes the youth upside. I'll take the coach.
I'll take the coach too.
Virginia has youth upside too, so I'm kind of talking out of both sides when I'm out there. But I like USC's talent upside much better.
Give me the Who's. All right, last one here. Disappointing power battle 2.0. This one's probably easy. Number 69, Michigan. Number 70, Arkansas. That's right. Arkansas ranks below Michigan in KenPom. Matt.
It's Arkansas, but man, I feel like there's that Michigan roster in a different world, in a galaxy far, far away.
Thought they'd be good. I thought
could be a good team. I firmly believe this roster could and should still be a good team, but I go Arkansas.
Yeah, sometimes the rosters just don't mesh and the coaching doesn't work. I think there's
3
disaster.
coaches and the coaches all hate each other. And exactly.
Disaster potential with Michigan. I think Arkansas finishes ahead by 40 spots.
40.
How's that?
Okay.
How's that for a take?
Can I take that bet?
After they probably
I'm mostly
surged
just. I'm not saying I
in
think it's a
tournament
greater than 50%. What kind of odds will you give me on that?
I don't know.
Jim, you have to specify pre or post tournament run, right? Because Arkansas will go from 25 to 12 when they go to the Elite Eight again. So yeah, you got to make sure you specify the.
Just one last point on Michigan. I didn't realize this till today. 361st, second to last in the country in bench minutes. They have no bench. They are thin, man. Holy moly, they are thin. Part of their problem, clearly.
Yeah. Other Howard not giving them anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Literally not playing
Injuries?
at all.
I don't know. Okay, that does it for my first thought. It's back to Jim, I think.
It is back to me. My next thought is, as I scroll to get there, it's a little bit like Kai's and a little bit like Matt's. It's not a this or that, but we're calling for real or fraudy on a couple of teams. We'll start with Virginia just because we have touched on them. It sounds like Matt is sternly, firmly in the fraudy department. They are 1-3 versus Q1, 1-0 versus Q2. It is possible to build an NCAA resume from where they are now with the Q3 loss still. But man, they're horrid away from home. Kai, are they for real or are they fraudy?
Texas?
No, Virginia.
Virginia, sorry.
Pay attention.
I am not, you're right. I am not giving up on Virginia. I think they're real. I think they'll make the tournament. They will finish top 6 in the ACC.
I kind of lean that way. Matt, you're fraudy. How low do they finish in KenPom, Matt? How bad does it get? Let me.
I don't. The conference is going to okay, yeah. So if you, I think they're going to finish around 60 to 70th. I don't think they crack the top 50. I don't. I get the conference could potentially help them look better because it's just not as daunting as the Big 12 or the Big
adjusted.
10%.
The
Big
rankings
East,
are
I should
adjusted.
say. Right, but they're so all that. I think they hover around where they are now. I don't think they're going to get much worse. I think they're too well coached to fall any farther, but they're in a bad spot right now. I mean, really not a lot of meat to that resume, and you're relying on a freshman-laden team to all of a sudden, rise to this like super elite defensive status, which they were at, but now the numbers have started to come back. And offensively, I don't see much upside at all. I really don't. I think they're just missing a couple of key pieces there.
So A&M's a Q2 win, Jim, right now?
I don't know which win is Q2. I think Florida neutral might be Q2 actually.
Wow. So one of I think both those are going to be Q1 at the end.
I think so too. I agree with that. I agree with both those.
Florida is just inside the top 50 because they're another team we're going to talk about in this section. So they are neutral floor Q1 win, but just barely. The Gators 0-3 versus the top quadrant, could not get it done against Kentucky. Had a real shot to pull that one off. 3-1 versus Q2, no bad losses, no blemishes at all on the resume. Matthew, are they for real or a little bit fraudy? And of course, I know your love for Todd Golden, but where do you stand on this version right now?
I still like it. I am exceedingly frustrated by the close but no cigars. Virginia, Baylor, even Wake, like they were in control of that game for a little bit, and then they ended up losing, kind of falling over by 11. That loss will age pretty well, but I still believe in this team, but it's sort of because you introduce Zion Poole into the mix so late and they have so many new pieces, I think there's sort of a late end game execution pecking order. How do we go at those types of high leverage spots, dilemmas? So we'll see. I'm making excuses clearly. I still like the team. I think it's a great team.
I think they're real. I hope they're real, but gosh, their resume sucks, Jim. It blows. 1 possession Virginia, 1 possession Kentucky, 2 possessions Baylor. It's a shame, but that's part of the game, right? Unfortunately that's the margins with the tournament sometimes.
Yeah, I think their inability to find a stretch 4, and they don't ever play small. I think that hurts them late in games. They don't have spacing to execute. They got 2 guys clogging the paint, and I know sometimes they can play the 4 guard lineups, but they really rarely do. I think there's a little bit of a structural issue against SEC athleticism. I know they're kind of trying to imitate Gonzaga with like the Timmy and multiple bigs that they had. I'm not sure that's going to fully translate up against the SEC. I think they need a little bit more spacing, and it's not going to be there.
Kugel, Kugel, where are you?
Yeah, he's been MIA this year. So I guess ultimately, I think they're going to get in the tournament, but I don't see them as a huge threat anymore. All right. Last up, Texas. They are 48th in the net, 1-2 versus Q1. Just got a big road win at Cincinnati, their first actually impressive win of the season. No bad losses, though. And Dylan Dessou, not only is he back, he was dominant at Cincinnati. Shedrick did not play. Dessou looked like the guy down the stretch of last year that was just completely unstoppable and helped him to get to the Elite Eight. Kyle, I'll start with you. For real or fraudy?
This team's real. It's not because their coach. The roster is way too talented to not be real. They're so talented. A. Smith was doing A. Smith things against Cincinnati. Game winner. Dude's stud. He has that. I love teams that have that MFer that can just take over at the end of games. And Jim mentioned Dessou
a dude.
Dessou had 33 points. Cincinnati could not stop him, and they got big dudes on their team. I think Texas is for real.
Mateo?
I agree. Talent's really good. As long as they have DC or Shedrick in there at any one point in time, I think it's a really tough team. It's just, again, the kind of like Villanova-esque, where we've seen question marks with some of the coaching decisions, but the talent's too good to really falter, and it feels like it's an older and, like the team, there's good chemistry, good vibes around the team. Whether I like the team doesn't matter. I still think the team believes in what they have going on, and it's probably a tournament team. Sorry.
Like Kempom has them 8-10 in the Big 12. I kind of buy that. I think they're going to go like 9-9 in the Big 12, but I still think they're real because the talent's too good. They're going to make the tournament, but they're going to not have a great record.
Yeah, they already got blasted at home in a Big 12 game. Texas Tech completely took care of business, dominated, led the entire second half. I'm actually a little more towards fraudy. If Max Asmus doesn't have a game winner bounce in, if Cincinnati doesn't shoot horribly from the free throw line in that game, we're looking at a Texas team with 0 heft to their resume right now. I'm a little out. I think their perimeter defense led by Asmus is not good, and it's going to be a problem for weeks to come. All right, that's it. Matthew, back to you for your second thought.
A quick thought, and I'll do my guys part chapter, 9? Chapter 8? Section 1 name to highlight here, but more of a broader team-wide thought on Auburn, who we've not really talked about a ton. They're up to 4th in KenPom, by the way, 13-2. Only losses was the opening game of the year at the where was that? The Pentagon. They lost to Baylor in an 88-82 shootout, whatever, first game of the year. Weird stuff happened. And they lost to App State at App State, tough place to play. No power team goes to the mid-majors and wins, it seems like. They beat Arkansas by 30. They beat A&M by 11. Game was much closer, by the way, as an A&M better. Pretty frustrating end game there, but still pretty impressive stuff. A guy I want to highlight here is Trey Donaldson. He is like the quasi-Robin to Aiden Holloway, the stud 5-star recruit, freshman who's been awesome. They all bookend Jonai Broom, who's been phenomenal up front, number 4 in the KenPom overall player of the year ranking. He's just an absolute stud. He's the anchor of everything they do. But with their erratic guard play they've had the last few years, Holloway's played wise beyond his years, but Donaldson's been the real veteran presence. His eye test to me is leaps and bounds better than his actual counting stats, even his advanced stats. Just makes the right play every time. He's given Auburn a secondary, solid, steady guard that's not Katie Johnson's feast or famine. That's not Denver Jones's feast or famine. Well, Denver Jones has been really good too. I just think Trey Donaldson is the ultimate skeleton key, X factor, under the radar role player for an elite team. If you have not watched him play, watch him play. I swear he makes the right play every time. If I were looking to poach in the portal this offseason, not that he's looking to go anywhere, he's probably getting paid pretty well, Donaldson would be a top target of mine. So there, shouts to a key cog on a nationally elite college basketball team.
The guy I love there, Matt, is Baker Mazzara.
Mazzara's been great too. Yeah,
he's on his fourth school, having played at 2 D1 schools, then at JUCO, and then now at Auburn. But he knocks down shots. He's another like long, rangy defender, and they didn't really have like that wing. Like they were guards and bigs, and he's kind of that connector. And I think he can. You know, he's only at 36% from three. He made every three last year for, I think it was Northwest Florida State that he played for. I know he was in the national title game, but he's an awesome piece too. And yeah, I mean, like, do you guys think Auburn is top 5? Is the Ken Palm rating correct? Where do you have them, Matthew?
Yeah, I think I have them. I'm close. I'm close to believing it because they're just so complete. Like you forget about Jalen Williams, who's just awesome. Dylan Cardwell comes in as like the change of pace thunder beast big guy in certain spots. He's still there. Chris Moore's been it's just a really complete roster. I don't know if it has like the overwhelming like pro level athletes that I've seen in years past, but it's a more it's a better fitting puzzle, I should say, with again some backcourt intelligence and stability that they've not really had the last few years.
Kai, do you have them top 5?
I have them top 10, Jim. Not quite top 5. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I buy it.
Good
That's
team.
where I'm
Great
at too.
team. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, my turn.
Yes.
I'm gonna kick I had a mid-major dude section, but we're already at an hour, so I'll throw that to the end because I want to talk about this other thought. Throw that to the next week podcast. What I meant. Flagrant fouls and reviews. If you guys watched the TCU Kansas game, and you've been watching Kansas basketball for a while, you're not surprised. But TCU got absolutely fogged on Saturday. A flagrant foul was called at the end of the game. You could say it might have cost them the game. We don't know for sure. But holy cow, it was terrible. Now, this play was reviewed after review, called it a flagrant foul. Then I was watching the Mizzou game against Kentucky, and Mizzou was called for a foul on a breakaway. He obviously tried to foul him in the first half, and this was reviewed, and the game stopped to see if it was a flagrant. It wasn't called a flagrant, but the point is, we need to stop reviewing to see if a foul was flagrant. It stops the game. If it's not obvious in the moment that it's a flagrant, then it's not a flagrant foul. Every single foul in college basketball at the end of games is intentional. Call them all intentional. When you're fouling to put guys in the free throw line, it's intentional. Every single foul on a fast break that tries to stop the player is intentional. And if it's not bad enough that makes you go in the moment, flagrant foul, then it's not. We need to stop reviewing, guys. Stop stopping the game. In rants.
Yeah, everything looks flagrant when in slow-mo.
Everything.
Like, that was the problem with the TCU thing, is it's like, oh, it looks like he's purposely hitting him in the face.
It's his reaction.
And it's like, no, the ball was loose and he kind of flailed a little bit, but no, he's not looking. He has no idea where Dickinson's head is. And his forearm happens to hit him. I saw some people, he threw an elbow. His elbow doesn't touch his face. It is his forearm, and it like hits him under the chin. And if Dickinson like doesn't throw his head back and go down, if he just was like, I was annoying, but I'll get back on defense. Mm-hmm. No one on Kansas even screams for a review. It just like, he made it look bad. It gets slowed down. Everybody makes a big deal of it. And that's a lot of these flagrants. It's like the slower it goes, the worse it looks. And that's why the reviews suck.
And you're encouraging flopping, which get it out, man. You're encouraging it. I can't stand it, man. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I watched the end of the Loyola Richmond game last night. There wasn't a flagrant review. There was like 3 reviews though in the final 2 minutes. It's just the review things as Trilly D so astutely tweeted. College basketball. Let's head to the monitor is what the headline should read. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We have to stop doing that. We gotta stop.
Yep. Shot clock on monitors. If you can't make a defined move of the call in 60 seconds, then leave it.
All right, that was my rant. JJB in the chat keeps mentioning Arizona State. So real quick, Arizona State has had an amazing four game run. They should have lost 2 of those games, but still, they've been impressive. I've been blown away by how good they're doing. Their defense is incredible. I don't think their offense stays at this level. I would lean they don't make the tournament still. But I put $10 on 100 to 1 to win the Pac-12 when they were 2-0, Jim. Why not?
Yeah, they're 4-0 against the same Pac-12 schedule that Arizona's 3-1 against. That's about as as good as you can say it. They've been impressive.
Bobby bleeping Hurley, kids.
Playing 11 seed
they're
or
not
not
making the tournament. I'm with
No.
you, Kai. They're not making the tournament.
I don't think they will either. But right now, resume not that bad.
All right, I guess I'll take it. My final thought. I'm gonna sneak it in here because there's some teams I want to give a shout out to. The thought is called "Here Come the ... and I got 4 teams. So here they come. Starting with the Red Raiders, Texas Tech. They've won 8 in a row, including at Texas. They're up to 26th in KenPom. Their offense is better than their defense. Wow, the hell is going on? In a way, losing Devin Cambridge, who is a good basketball player, has made them play more offense tilted lineups. McMillan's been making threes. Kerwin Walton's been making threes. Pop Isaacs, ignore the off court stuff, which we're going to do because they're doing it and they're playing him. He's been terrific. And Matt, we've known this since he was at Nevada and then Arizona State. Warren Washington is a one-man good interior defense. Like,
we gave that an A+++ rating when they signed him. Like, this is the best transfer, like bang for buck value pickup of anyone in the cycle, and I think that's proven to be accurate. He's just a really good, smart player, two-way, and perfect fit too. So nice job, Grant.
Yep, I think it was Pat or maybe somebody on Twitter that was like, it's weird that they're not playing the nation's slowest tempo. McCaslin's winning a different way, but credit to him that he's capable of doing that. So yeah, Red Raiders looking like a tourney team. Next up, here come the Johnnies, St. John's, the Red Storm, looking sharp. They've won 5 of 6, including at Villanova. I mentioned it. Patino just completely baffled Kyle Neptune in this game with the changing defenses and teasing Villanova into some bad shots. The final score looks like a shootout because Villanova played the foul game for 2.5 minutes, but they really grinded that Villanova offense to a pulp. And it's a weird team, Kai, because you don't think you want to zone Villanova, but then they can't do that one-on-one matchups and the post type stuff. And of course, Justin Moore's still out, but St. John's looks a lot better. The defense looks real. RJ Lewis is a major add, having been injured before. I think they're going to continue ascending.
Yeah. Neptune is probably doing the "he tricked me" quote that that Kenny Payne did about Mike Woodson. Rick Pitino, that's just not even a contest. They're awesome. I think they're really, really good. We expected them to be good eventually. I think the whole world did, but now they think they've truly okay, we're getting into it. Doesn't mean they're going to win every game going forward, but I'm into this team.
Yeah, St. Joe's also zoned Villanova to success, and I am quite certain Rick Pitino watched that game as a precedent. And I think you're also seeing Pitino game to game basis. He makes adjustments. His lineups are never really the same game to game. Part of that's injury related. Part of that's just matchup, schematic, purposeful adjustments. He's a great coach. We've always said that. I think the roster is what I doubted, and now I'm starting to see the talent pop. And I'm pretty in on the Johnnies overall. They're really good.
Last 2 teams I'm mentioning here are teams that I'm issuing a mea culpa on. I was a little lower on them in the preseason. I said I wasn't fully buying the Ducks, but here come the Ducks. I loved Shellstad in the preseason. I didn't love him enough. He's terrific. We talked about him last episode. What's super intriguing is that Oregon is 4-0 in the Pac-12, sweeping the LA school, sweeping the Washington trip, and they're supposed to get Nate Biddle and Nafali Dante back. So they're suddenly going to have dominant paint presences to go with the freshmen who have looked really good and given them that athleticism. Shellstad's a true star on the perimeter, big-time shot maker. Bartholomew and Kusnard have been solid enough. Okendo gives them like a erratic, but sometimes good. He's almost their KD Johnson off the bench. Matt, I think they've got really high upside with Dana Altman at the helm.
Hard agree. Their guards have been better than advertised. We knew Shellstad would be good. He's been even better than we thought. They have depth there. Rigsby and Okendo's the guy I love, like kind of the X factor off the bench spark plug. And God, they're going to be dominant at the rim. Remember the first game of the year, we didn't think Dante would play, and he played against Georgia and basically owned that game on at 60%. I mean, this team could be scary good if they get. I mean, Biddle can be good, but Dante obviously is just a game changer.
Yeah, he's played 1 game and he has 21 rebounds. Dante's a monster. Hope to see him and Biddle back on the court healthy. And this last one, Kai, I'll let you coo a little more about your smart preseason take with San Diego State. They're just terrific. I got too cute with my preseason takes. I think they're back up to being. I think they're the best team right now in the Mountain West. Maybe not the highest upside, but they're just so darn steady. They've got a monster that you really can't stop inside. Their defense isn't as elite, but it's still really darn good. And they're getting solid playmaking out of the backcourt. So yeah, San Diego State, Kai, I think they're still rising.
Yeah, they're awesome. It's a amazing program. I didn't think Ledee was going to be an All-American, but he is. He's fantastic. The two guards are backcourt, Butler and Trammell. I mean, you have two fifth-year guards leading your team that have played in a national championship game, and you hit on both transfers. Waters and J. Pal have been good for them, and that's really all they needed to be, was really solid role players. Waters maybe even has been more than that. He's been really, really good. Yep. San Diego State, awesome.
Team rocks. All right, Matthew, if you want to do your third thought, otherwise take us to previews. Up to you.
Let's preview game. No, actually, I have a stale third thought. I need to refresh that. No, we're going to preview action, and there's a lot of it this Saturday. Not as many as the 145 game slate we had last weekend, but I haven't done the official count. There's a lot of games, probably more than 100. I know. It used to be fun. Now it's not. Hey, we'll talk about Mississippi State hosting Alabama. We got New Mexico hosting San Diego State. We have TCU hosting Houston, among others, but we're going to hit those three. Chad, if there's any ones you want us to talk about, maybe we'll get a quick thought or two in. But I want to break down the Fighting Chris Janses of Stark Vegas, who are playing a huge one tonight, by the way, against Tennessee. Get another opportunity at home to add some beef to their resume, and they're right on the bubble as well. Tough Q4 loss at home to Southern, and they've been inconsistent. Tolu Smith back in the mix. Is that going to be a mismatch problem for Alabama's good, but can we say softish, brittle front line, Jim? Or is that an overly harsh critique of the Roll Tide front line?
I think it's brittle-ish, and Wagi was out last game. Their nominal starting center. I know they have a kind of a rotating cast of characters up front, but man, heading to Stark Vegas, I don't know for sure if Mississippi State will be 0-2 or 1-1 in league play, but I think they bludgeon Alabama inside. Alabama's offense has been noticeably worse away from home, mostly because it's been a supernova at home, but I think this is a Mississippi State win, Kai, based on their physicality, dominance of the paint, and hopefully not a ridiculous shooting night from the Tide.
Man, I kind of lean Mississippi State's way, but it's really scary to back a team that can stall on offense consistently, and a team that almost never does in Alabama. So I don't know. I'm a little worried. Mississippi State could be 0-2 going into this game in SEC play, so could be extra juice there. Yikes. I don't know. Bama needs this win for their resume, too. Their resume is not great.
Yeah, they both need. Yeah, I was going to say, Alabama, I think we look at their metrics and we just think about the Bama cachet of what they've been the last few years, but they have been kind of like Florida, close but no cigars in a few big games. They haven't really actually added the outright wins, need to do so. I think the Bulldogs prevail in this game. Actually, Mississippi State's pretty good in transition. It's not how they want to play, but I think they have athletes and they have.
They're better this year, yeah.
They can certainly do that if that's how the game plays out. But I'm sure Jans will want to keep this to a crawl. We head west to the Pit, where my Lobos have looked a little bit vulnerable lately, and I knew they would because, well, their perfectly conceived concoction of players that they had rolling there while their quote-unquote best player, Jamal Mashburn, was out. He's now back, and they have looked a little bit less invincible trying to figure out the rotations. They've lost 2 of 3, Kai. 1-2 in the Mountain West, lost at Colorado State. No shame in that, but then just got beat on the road at UNLV by 10. No major shame, but a game that you think they should win if they're really going to vie for an at-large. Got to win this game at home against the Aztecs, and I think they do. Despite my concerns, I just cited. I'm sure you think San Diego State punched them in the mouth up front, or what's your breakdown here?
No,
kid?
I think San Diego State probably does that, but I think New Mexico wins at home. The Pit, obviously, fantastic home venue. But yeah, Mashburn, if it wasn't for kind of a lucky cover against Wyoming in the late game, they should be 0-3 against the spread with him back in the lineup. I don't know why. Maybe it's just there's only one defense. There's only one basketball sort of thing on offense, and the defense isn't great when he's on the floor. I don't know. But clearly New Mexico needs to hit the brakes soon on this skid. I think they get it done against San Diego State, but toss up in my opinion.
Yeah, if this wasn't at the Pit, I'd say San Diego State smacks them because I watched some of that New Mexico second half at UNLV and they completely melted down, just short-circuited. Jalen House shoved somebody after a whistle, got a technical, and they gave up like a 15-0 run after that. And it's just like concerning because we've seen him do it before, have a great non-conference and then get into league play and can't really figure it out. And the reintroduction of Mashburn, as you guys referenced, has taken away a little bit from Donovan Dent, who I think is their best guard. Like Jalen House is good, but Matt, I think you're nodding. You love Dent. It's just they're having a hard time with three guys that all kind of, like I said, want to have the ball, and it's tough against that San Diego State team. All that said, the Pitt's the great equalizer, so I'm just kind of avoiding this one.
Yeah, right. Just like how Assembly Hall made IU look good against Kansas for one game, I think the Pitt can do that with New Mexico, despite some of their their musical chairs they have going on there in the backcourt. But yeah, Donnie Dent, let him run the show. We don't need two feast or famine dudes, House and Mash, for run around just taking dumb shots. That's not what the best version of this team is.
That's a bummer. I love Mashburn. I love his dad.
No, I know. I agree. He's fun. It's just it sucks that this is how the situation's played out. But Pitino's gonna have to manage that very tightly, or else they're gonna lose another at-large. Let another at-large season slip away here. We head to Texas for our final quick preview here. The Purple Horny Frogs, Kai, who got hosed at Fog Allen. They get some, I guess, not revenge, but to vanquish some demons when Houston comes to town. Although Houston will have plenty of demons they want to vanquish coming off the Iowa State loss. Tough matchup here, right? A matchup of men, but a fun pace war, if you will. Houston wants to slow it down. TCU wants to go. What gives?
Well, 8 seems like a lot of points, but the matchup couldn't be worse for TCU, in my opinion. Exactly what they want to do offensively is what Houston is just like works on every single day in practice to deny. And and if you can't really shoot against Houston, I think you're kind of screwed. But hey, it's Big 12 basketball. Home courts are tough in this environment, in this conference, as Houston found out against Iowa State, getting down early. I don't know where to go with this. I'd probably lean TCU if it was 8 points. But I don't really want to fade Houston either, Jim, even the version that I just saw against Iowa State.
Yeah, to your point, like they want to score inside and they want to score in transition, and Houston just doesn't really let you do that at all. This is going to turn into like, those slap fights, like the professional slapping. They just hit each other and then you got to reorient and then like get back in it and get slapped. That's, I think, what's going to power slap. That's what it's called. I feel like that's going to be a lot of Houston Big 12 games, and they love it that way. I don't think as many teams revel in it the way they do. Iowa State's kind of one of them, and they had Hilton Magic on their side. I'm not quite sure that the TCU is going to have the same juice. And sorry, Hilton Magic, but officiating was friendly to you. Foul count was definitely beneficial when both teams are defending very physically. It tilted towards Iowa State there. Of course, that could happen at TCU. Ultimately, Matt, I think Houston wins, but yeah, 8 points in terms of against the spread. I would be closer to TCU there.
Yeah, I think Houston wins a close, ugly type of game here for sure. Just a side note on the whole home court thing. You see some people on Twitter sometimes get defensive about the biased home whistle. I'm always
it's good. That's a cool thing.
It's a good thing. That's a function of how awesome your home court is. Like if I see Kansas fans like get overly defensive about the continuous great calls they've had at home in key situations. Duke fans, same way, right? Like I embrace the whistle that we get at Cameron because our venue is awesome, right? Assembly Hall is awesome. Fog is awesome. So that's the edge you have. Enjoy that. Embrace that. Don't get into the weeds, into the dirt or the mud with these people who want to talk about your home court being unfair. It's like, no, it's part of the game. It's awesome.
It should be part of the game.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too. Mm-hmm. And with that concludes this week's. It does not conclude. We have to do reviews. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure and enjoy the reviews because we have some fun discussion.
You sold that well.
Well, I was just ready to had a really good sign off teed up, and now it's just ruined my mojo. So, Kai, let's go through reviews. That's
okay. I knew you'd forget, so that's why I was quick to jump in there. All right, reviews time. Thank you all for writing these. Please do continue to leave them on the Apples and the Apple iTunes platform. Mike Pot Pie says, expert help. Hey guys, love the pod. Love the knowledge. Fantastic. Okay, so he's in a pool that allows you to pick players of the year in different conferences, champions in every conference, also a KenPom over and under achiever for the season. Sounds like a very fun pool. He picked Chicago State, hoping the Bewley twins would easily make them better than their 325 preseason rank, but the NCAA, of course, had other ideas. With all the eligibility news, he assumed the Bewley twins would be back, but Haven't heard much in the past month or so. Do you guys have any insights on if they will be eligible? Well, it's not a transfer thing, so that's kind of part one issue is the ruling did not apply to them. And Jim, I have not heard much. I know they played basically professional basketball, so I don't know how they would be eligible, but I got nothing.
Yeah, there's something in like mid-November that it was an explainer of why they're ineligible. I didn't get all the way into the weeds, but it seems like they're not even pending appeal. Like I don't think they have a chance to get eligible this year. So it's a bummer because Chicago State's been feisty regardless. They've done what Purdue and Michigan State couldn't do. They won at Northwestern. So you'd like to see them with those guys in the lineup, but unfortunately, I don't think we will.
Next review, Ryan Bookie, favorite podcast, never misses, most underrated podcast out there. You're darn right we are. You're darn right they are. All right, let's say hypothetically some huge head coaching positions open this offseason. Kansas, Michigan State, Houston, to name a few. Wow, Kansas, huh? Hypothetically. Who do you think is best to replace the former coach? We'd love to hear if you think, / if you have any other schools in mind for this exercise. Always a great listen. Man, this could be an entire podcast topic. If Michigan State opens up, who gets it?
Nate Oates.
That's
my guess.
Yeah.
I think he wants it. He said it's like his dream job to go back up there. He's from Wisconsin, but he coached at Detroit Romulus in high school. That'd be maybe a guess. But it's just when these older guys retire, every single one of them wants to hand it to someone.
Yep.
Like Bo Ryan, Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, they clearly have a hand-picked guy. Like Houston, it's going to be Kellen Sampson. Like it will be his son, no question, 100% certainty.
And
Dusty May could pick any of these jobs and get it probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of like what Big East program could open, Kai, because there's a young coach at George Mason that's got them into the top 100. And from what I'm told, that gets you a job in the Big East. So Tony Skinn, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he's been great this season. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to do a topic like this in the offseason, maybe get into the nitty gritty more with this.
It'll be fun though, Kai, in 2026 when the Big Ten has both Nate Oates and Dusty May coaching in that conference. We'll add some pizzazz.
Yeah, if you're Indiana, you're like, let's just get rid of Woodson. I mean, let's just do it because we're gonna get Dusty.
If we
May.
can bring Dusty May home, yeah,
100%, and he would take it in a heartbeat as he should. Nick L0330, one of one, CBV podcast listener since 2018. Heck yeah, thank you very much. Very insightful. Good question about Purdue's 3-point defense. Strong 3-point defense is widely viewed as out of a team's control and a strong bet for regression to the mean, with Houston as a classic exception. Should we also consider Purdue on that exceptions list? His theory, of course, being Edey, being the great rim protector that he is, enables the other four guys to be more aggressive on closeouts on the perimeter, and they are top 50 in 3-point defense in last season. Jim, thoughts here?
Tough timing, considering they just got absolutely thrashed from deep by Nebraska. But Matt Painter's never been bad at 3-point percentage. You think if it's totally luck-based, they would have a year where they fell to the bottom 60 or whatever. They're always huge. And I always think there's at least a slight, I haven't proved this yet, but a slight correlation in possession length and 3-point percentage defense. Because you're forcing long possessions, typically you get some bad 3-pointers at the end of the clock. Purdue is very good at that. They take away transition. So I think it's fair to say that they are at least mildly controlling it and keeping teams lower.
Yeah, if you have a 15-year track record of being solid on 3-point percentage defense, probably not an outlier. I would agree. And the reason is because they're huge every single year. It's not just this year. Yeah.
They don't have like the length athleticism that Houston does. That's why they're not like top 20, but they're like never worse than 120th. Like they're always up there.
It might help playing at an incredible home venue as well. I imagine half your games at that place kind of helps. Lastly, DZ from BC, best CBB pod. Thank you. Longtime listener. Okay, good. Question. Long-suffering BC Eagle, who never thought I'd be yearning for the days of Al Skinner's tight flex. Earl Grant's been better than I feared. Think he can get us consistently to the Cooley zone or 80 to 90 KenPom max. Let's go, Matt. BC ceiling under Grant in KenPom terms.
Ceiling is Cooley zone. I buy that. And I think as a BC fan, this guy seems like a very, very astute, self-aware, properly educated BC fan that knows the true potential and ceiling of his program. program, as we like to say. I think it's a great take. I think the ceiling is the Cooley Zone, which is a good thing. You should revel in that as a BC fan, because I bet the ceiling will never be higher. It could be higher maybe down the road, but right now it's a pretty good place to be where you have been historically.
Yeah, hoping to make the tournament, like actual chance of doing so 2 out of every 3 years or 2 out of every 4 years, maybe. Have to do the rebuild every once in a while. But yeah, I think you can get him there, Kai, for sure. He's already got him in the top 100, something only happened once in the Jim Christian era.
Yeah, they've been better than I expected this year. Man, Al Skinner, they have not made the tournament since 2009, which was Al Skinner's second to last year. He made 7 tournaments in 9 years.
Insane job he did there. Absolutely insane. And then he went down to Kennesaw and didn't do a insane job.
Yeah, it's like
6 years later.
Yeah. The air, like he was able to win with that tight flex and not taking many threes. Could you do that now? Obviously, he didn't do it at Kennesaw. Skinner didn't. I don't know. Doesn't seem like the style that works.
All right. Anyways, hey, back to Matt for a really cute sign off.
This is my sign off. I have no cute sign off. I already forgot it. I had it teed up in my head, and that's all we have. Thank you, reviewers and raters and listeners and watchers and college hoop fans abound. It's our time now, folks. Strap in. The final 3-month race